Hi, my name is Jonah. I have been working full time since I was 18 years old, which was in 2022. So that's been about 3 years now, 2.5, 3 years roughly. So in those 2.5 years, I have been a part of three different companies, and I have definitely witnessed forms and scenarios of involving interpersonal conflict. Everybody does, everybody will. Thankfully, I was never at the root or at the center of a problem to the point where we had to go to human resources or even had to have a separate meeting to work out the conflict. But I have certainly had personal issues with people doing things that I was not happy with. I'm sure there have been times where I was doing something that another person was not happy with. And everybody, when you're a part of an organization, you'll come to a place where there's just this awkwardness that you'll have with people because of issues that you have with them. That's just natural part of being part of an organization. But on the flip side, there's always great relationships and friendships that you develop with people, and people that you look forward to seeing every day, and people that you look forward to working with every day. But toward the end of our course, the research that we're doing and the project that we're doing revolves around interpersonal conflict. So I have two true stories. That one I have revolves more around me, and then another where I was just a witness of it. And then there's also a story that I want to bring up from my research. So the personal story that involved me was I was working in logistics. I was working at an airport. This was the first company that I was ever a part of. And I started at a time where a lot of people were starting as well. And quickly I got the swing of things, if you will. And I learned the job fairly quickly. And responsibility was allocated towards me. Not that I had earned a great promotion very quick, but certain responsibility was allocated towards me. And there was never really a sense of struggle for me, thankfully. I just learned the job really well. Well, anyway, as the responsibility was allocated towards me and I had gained the respect of my peers and my supervisors and everything, people that started at the same time as I did that maybe didn't get the swing of things as quickly as I did, kind of, really honestly, I feel like they became a little bit envious of me. And that created a sense of awkwardness during the operation. It was hard to have small talk with them. It was hard to strike up conversation with them. And it really wasn't that deep. As stated earlier in this video, I've never had an issue with people where it had to escalate and it really had to be dealt with. But that's just a small example of interpersonal conflict that you're going to run into with people. Sometimes you're going to get a hold of something really quick. Sometimes you're going to get a hold of something really slow, but you really shouldn't let that create. It's not that big of a deal. Everybody learns at their own pace, and being envious of somebody because they learn something quicker than you do, really at the end of the day it's not that big of a deal, because eventually, especially when you're first starting out your career, you're going to find your niche and you're going to find something that you do good at. And if your first job that you have isn't something that you pick up really quick, don't let it start a bunch of conflict in your organization just because you haven't found what you're good at yet. So that's the first example of interpersonal conflict that I've dealt with and I've seen. The second is here at the job that I'm at currently, someone that I know very well was seeking to get out of their department, and they were applying for this position internally. And somebody in their department as well, the department that they were in, was applying for the exact same position internally, an internal transfer. They were both applying for it. They were a part of the same team. Anyway, they found out about it, and it created a mess. Neither one of them had found out whether or not that they had gotten the position yet, but they couldn't even look at each other anymore. They couldn't talk to each other anymore. If they had a question about something, they couldn't interact anymore because they knew that they were going for the exact same position, and it really hindered the collaboration. Now, my advice to how that situation would have to be resolved is you just have to understand that you guys are applying for the exact same position. Somebody's going to get it and somebody's not. It just so happened that two people from the same department were applying for this exact same internal transfer. Somebody's going to get the job and somebody's not. But at the same time, you have a daily responsibility that you are still entitled to. And you have to act and perform very professionally. And in my opinion, it's rather irresponsible of you and unprofessional of you to bring a matter that hasn't been resolved yet into your daily responsibility. Now, the last example I have was found in my research, and it was a sales team that launched a month-long competition. Whoever earned the most sales was going to get a reward. Not a very substantial reward, but they were going to get a reward. Now, two individuals that were very hyper-competitive just completely took it too seriously and really tried to separate themselves from the team and really acted as if it had turned into an individual sport and not a team sport. So my advice in that situation is anything that is going to hinder collaboration, and there's such thing as healthy competition, but anything that comes between your team's ability to collaborate and work together really honestly is something that you should keep away from your organization. And there's probably some particular sales teams where that might work well, where maybe you have some tenured people, some mature people. But if you have some young guns that are just really are all about it, who are gonna hear the word competition and just go all in, you have to know your personnel, and you might have to think about that a little bit harder and know who on your team is going to hear the word competition and just completely isolate themselves from everybody else, not talk to everybody else, act like everybody on their team is from a different company or something like that. That's what you have to stay away from, and that's what you have to avoid. So I think in all three situations, that's the word that you have to hold to is collaboration. That's what collaboration and communication, that's what makes an organization strong, no matter what the organization is going through. If there's a recession, if there's a downturn in the market, if the business is struggling, if the city that the business is located in is struggling, people are moving away, no matter what the situation is, communication and collaboration make an organization strong. And really, without those two things, an organization is nothing. So that's the best way to deal with interpersonal conflict, is encourage collaboration and strong, healthy, honest communication. Thank you.